everybody, and welcome back to Dropkick SoCal with me, Mooski, and welcome to our first ever Dropkick SoCal film review for none other than the Iron Claw that came out this holiday weekend. So, just to start off, y'all, we typically do, like, for any newcomers here, we typically do, like, news, matches, podcast episodes with certain guests and stuff, toy hunts too. So feel free, go ahead, check that stuff out here on the channel. Definitely dropkick that subscribe button, helps us all out and whatnot. But yeah, guys, so for today's episode, our very first little film review for the Iron Claw. And I'll just straight up say, guys, if you haven't seen the film, actually, I should say, spoiler warning, okay? I will be saying some spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Definitely a film for both film and wrestling fans alike. You know, I am both. I love films, I love pro wrestling, and I felt like I got a good view of that in this film. We'll talk about it right now. So yeah, with that being said, guys, let's go right into it. The Iron Claw film review. Now, there are going to be two concepts that I'm really going to look into to really, like, break down this movie. And that's going to be the story and, of course, the wrestling. So, let's just go right ahead and start off with the story. So, the main story here, guys, is really to focus on the lives of the Von Erich brothers. Carrie, Kevin, Dave, and Mike. And just right off the bat, I gotta say, the film just did a great job of establishing that almost personal connection we, the audience members, had with our characters in the movie. And pretty much, so yeah, goal accomplished right there, you know. I really felt like we were getting to know them on that personal level, seeing how they got along with each other, seeing their rise in the wrestling industry, and just, like, you know, personally, how they were as a family, you know? And come on, I mean, I gotta say, how could you not smile while you're watching that scene where they're sneaking out to make it to Mike's gig? I mean, that's just so enjoyable, you know? So yeah, gotta say, props to that, man. Like, I really felt like, damn, I'm friends with the Von Erichs right now, you know? Like, really, awesome job on that. And also just a good distinction between what they each kind of, like, played in their roles as wrestlers, you know. Kevin, our real main character, and also, like, the one, like, carrying the narrative, you know, since he's the only living Von Erich brother, and being the hardest worker of all the brothers in the ring for sure. Dave, who is the best on the mic with the promos, all of that stuff. Heck yes. And then you got Carrie, who is the most athletic of them all. Almost got a chance to go to the Olympics, but tragedy struck there during that year with the Olympics. But still, most athletic. And then Mike, who was never really meant to be a wrestler, you know? Smaller of the brothers, he gave it a shot, you know? But still was more of, like, he was kind of aiming towards more of a musician for what it seems, you know? But yeah, guys, you know, overall great, like, connection established in this film with the audience and the characters, you know? Same for wrestling. I mean, if you can't care about this character, you're not going to care at all, you know? Like, wow, great job here. I will say, though, that because the connection was so well established, it made their deaths even more hard-hitting, man, even more impacting. Dang. So yeah, guys, I will say that it was pretty valid portrayal of each of the Von Erichs, brothers' deaths right there. So starting off with Dave, who passed away first. I forgot what the intestinal, whatever, however you say that, like, intestinal thing he had that caused him to go on drugs and all that stuff and die in Japan. Very well portrayed there. And then, of course, you had, personally, the one that hit me the most was Mike's death, you know? Again, more aiming towards being a musician, and because Dave passed, he tried to take on that place of the other Von Erich brother. But, you know, he was never the biggest guy and stuff, so suffered a terrible shoulder injury, almost died during the surgery. And then even though he did survive, he was never quite right anymore. And then, he had also to rely on drugs, which contributed to all that. And then for me, guys, it was that one scene where he just couldn't really play the guitar anymore as a musician. That hurts right there, man. And then seeing him like take those pills, go out into the woods. Oh god, yeah, that one hit me the most, guys. Then you also got Carrie, who like really all that pressure of like trying to be the big star and everything for the family name and all that stuff just led to deteriorating his mental health, which again, just like Mike, also caused him to commit suicide. Yeah, hard-hitting stuff. But again, if they really made you feel just like that, again, that's because you really felt a good connection established with these characters. So definitely job well done on that. Just amazing. And they also included the passing of the oldest Von Erich brother, who sadly passed away, the youngest at like, I believe 6 or 7 years old. Jack Von Erich, who died again as a child, which just made you feel even more sympathy for these characters who lost. Some of them never got to meet the oldest brother because he died so young. Yeah, so just really playing onto that curse of the Von Erichs, just wow. So they didn't really go into detail of how Jack died, but as a wrestling fan, I've looked into this stuff a little bit myself, and believe me, guys, like, I can understand not including his death. If you really want to know, if you don't know, look it up yourselves. I'm not saying that here, okay? But yeah, definitely very tragic how the way Jack passed away, and just the way that kind of hit you at the end, where they have that little, again, spoiler warning, where they have that little scene where like the brothers are meeting in the supposed afterlife and stuff. Mike, Dave, and Carrie, and then here comes Jack, and then that's where you find out, oh my god, there was another little brother. Like, if you guys never knew, that could be a shocker to make you feel even more sympathy, like, wow. Again, just such a great way of establishing a connection with these characters. So now with that being said, however, we do have to talk about the criticism about leaving out the other Von Erich brother, Chris Von Erich. So kind of similar to Mike, a little bit smaller compared to like Carrie, Kevin, and Dave and all that stuff, but was eager to also become a wrestler. But again, kind of similar. There was just a lot of pressure, not putting him in a good mental state, which also led him to commit suicide. So they left out Chris, and as Chavo himself, he was on what was that called? Insight with Chris Van Fleet. He explained the story about how he noticed as the movie was being made that they left out Chris. And he talked with the director, Durkin, about leaving him out, and that basically it just might be one tragedy too many, I mean, take it how you will, guys. The way Chavo explained it was, are we making a movie or are we making a documentary? And the last bits I'll say here, guys, is that... Oops, sorry, gotta fix up my mic here. The last bit I'll say is that if you're looking for a full-on history of the rise of the Von Erich family, starting all the way from the father's career, Fritz, you won't really get too much of that. They showed how Fritz started off as a wrestler and whatnot. Didn't really dive too much into like his character of being like the German menace or anything. Doesn't really dive too much into that, his heel character work, but rather that he was a wrestler and he started his promotion, WCCW and all that stuff, and how his family got involved. Doesn't truly dive too much into that. Again, we do bring it up, but not quite. Again, just doesn't really dive into that. So if that's what you're looking for, guys, don't expect too much of that. But regardless, again, I feel like the story here was that connection with the Von Erich brothers and seeing their rise and their unfortunate downfall. Which, again, for this story, guys, I gotta say, very, very solid. Yeah, just definitely solid, guys. For sure. Great story. So, Now, with that said, this is a wrestling movie, correct? So, of course, we gotta talk about the other topic in this film, the actual wrestling. As the actors and everybody else who has worked on the film stated that it is themselves. The actors, Jeremy Allan White, Erich Dickinson, and Zac Efron, they are the ones taking those bumps, actually performing the stunts. They actually put work into actually learning the wrestling moves, working alongside Chavo Guerrero to really give it that sense of real wrestling. And, well, my goodness, they did a great job of that. As Chavo was saying on the Chris Von Fleet interview, they didn't just film little like moves here and there, little snippets. They filmed real sequences of wrestling matches, and it shows in the film. So honestly, you gotta give props to just the tremendous amount of hard work that everybody in this film put on. I mean, it just goes to show, man, it's real. It's damn real. If I could please quote the great Kurt Angle. For sure. Gotta give it to that. Gotta give it to the film for that, guys. Definitely did not take it easy on the wrestling. They went for it. Props to that. So, just one big spoiler here, guys. Again, there's gonna be some spoilers here and there. But again, go see this movie. My personal favorite match was the match with Kevin Von Erich versus Harley Race. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know who the actor is that portrayed Harley Race, but I can't remember his name. But man, did he do a damn good job of it. But yeah, that was like an actual like full-on match that we saw. And I dug it, guys. Like, Zac Efron took a suplex on the outside, on the concrete, and just, dang, it really gives you that sense of realism. Wrestlers get hurt. Sure, it's a predetermined sport, but that doesn't mean that injuries and accidents can't happen. So yeah, I mean, like, the actors themselves, Zac Efron, have even stated that they have a newfound respect for this art known as pro wrestling. Again, just props to you guys. Thank you. Amazing. So now, the main wrestling focus here was on the, mostly on, like, the Von Erich brothers, like, tag teaming and whatnot, and having matches here and there, and also mostly a lot of Kevin's, like, solo matches, just like the Harley Race one, which was my favorite, but also his match with Ric Flair. Mostly, personally, I would say because Kevin is the lead actor here and carrying the narrative, we're gonna focus mainly on his matches, but I gotta say, y'all, my biggest criticism is that because we focus too much on Kevin and just the Von Erich brothers as a whole, I mean, how could you leave out those matches with Kerry Von Erich, who was really, out of all the Von Erich brothers, he kind of reached the most stardom. So just not showing matches such as him going up against Ric Flair for the NWA Heavyweight Championship after the passing of his brother Dave and winning the title in Texas with all the support from the state of Texas, defeating Ric Flair. I mean, the fact that you guys didn't show that match and just, like, put it on, it's like, oh, look, the family's watching them on TV. Like, guys, I feel like that, personally, that did not do justice for Kerry Von Erich. Did not. So yeah, I gotta give a big down for that, just not including that match. I mean, you didn't have to make it too long, maybe not a full-on match, but I don't want to start rambling here, okay? But point is, I felt like we could have used a few more, like, wrestling matches featuring, like, the brothers themselves solo, especially Kerry versus Ric Flair. I was really hoping to see that, but oh well, maybe we could have even seen Kerry Von Erich when he went to WWF. They mentioned it, but didn't really dive into it. Kerry Von Erich in WWF as the Texas Tornado when he defeated Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. Okay, but point is, okay, sorry guys, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that is just the one criticism I gotta give. Not so much just as a film fan, but as a wrestling fan, not seeing a couple of matches, mainly that Ric Flair match with Kerry Von Erich. Come on, guys. great work that they put into the wrestling done and seen in the movie, but just not having that historic moment from the Von Erich family with Ric Flair. I mean, again, big disappointment for me, and that's all I'll say, guys. Other than that, yeah, the wrestling is great, but again, I just felt we could have seen at least that match with Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair. All in all, though, great job on the wrestling for sure. Indeed. So overall, guys, story, amazing. Just a great connection between the audience and the main characters, like really on a personal note to really like follow the story, So amazing job on that. Was it all accurate? Pretty accurate, but again, leaving Chris Von Erich out, let me know what you thought about that in the comments below. Overall, still a great story, great investment. As a viewer, for sure. Wrestling, great work on the wrestling. These guys put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, that's for sure. Again, pardon me, I just personally would have loved to have seen those matches from Kerry Von Erich. I mean, you just can't leave those out when they've made such a big impact for their name. But regardless, guys, great wrestling sequences for sure. And for wrestling fans out there, don't hate me for this, or maybe you'll love me for this. I don't know. Very polarizing figure, but I'm just joking here. I'm gonna go ahead and go a little Dave Meltzer here, okay? I'm no film critic. I'm definitely no wrestling critic or any of that. I'm just a film and wrestling fan, all right? So, my opinion, doesn't really matter that much, if I'm honest. But overall, guys, with those two criterias combined, I gotta say, overall, I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. The Iron Claw. Definitely worth seeing for a wrestling fan, and film fans alike. But yeah, guys, great film. Go check it out if you haven't yet. And yeah, for those new guys over here, feel free to go ahead and dropkick that subscribe button for more content. Will I do more film reviews? I don't know. We'll see, Depends on the wrestling movie, I guess. But yeah, guys, go check out some other stuff below. More like some podcast episodes, news, matches of the week, and our toy hunts. Those are very popular. So yeah, guys, all in all, go check out the Iron Claw in theaters now. And dropkick that subscribe button. And with that said, I will see you all in the next episode. Take care. Peace out.